a big comparison test between the all-new Skoda Superb, the Passat, the new generation, the B8 and the Mazda6 facelift. That is today on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars. We're going in detail, first of all with a basic overview on the different exteriors, interior, and then we'll take each car singularly for its own, have a very detailed look on all of the cars. You know, we cover all of the aspects, which one is the best car for you. We're going to find out today. And let's start with the basic overview on the design. The all-new Skoda Superb with a quite dramatic outline with very sharp headlights, and also all of the other outline of the cars very sharp in the design. And I can tell you so far already right now, it is really my design favorite, but I also want to hear your comments about that one. And together with the Mazda6, those two are the long cars here, the Superb and the Mazda6. The Passat is about 10 centimeters shorter. Then the Passat, the new generation B8, concentrates on these horizontal fins, make the car a little bit broader, nice design overview here, also with leading into the headlights. Not quite as dramatic as the Superb though. The outline is the most classic sedan-like of all of the three cars. And then the Mazda6, you see, the design is not as calm as the other cars. They tend to play around a little bit more with the design, but for sure, I think all three of the cars very stunning in design, very beautiful cars, definitely. But you see, if you look at them, compare them directly now, that the other two ones are more about those, you know, very clean design, and this one here is a little bit more joy. Let's take it that way. And from the design here in the outline in the rear, there you can see that it's more like a coupe style car, so they play around with the design there as well. And let's take a short overview at the interior, and today we also use the measuring stick to check out the loading compartments. Short look at the interior, just to have the comparison. Not that daring as the exterior here with the Skoda Superb, but very clean, very elegant, and definitely high-class premium. You feel like you're in a top luxury car, definitely. And the rear, you see you have a lot of space in the rear. I can tell you so far, it's the most space you will have, especially as for the knee space. We're going to take a detailed look at that very soon. Then the Passat. Here we have a nice cloth seat option. It's the best seat surface we have here, definitely. And also high-class interior. See, everything is stressed on those horizontal lines, especially the matte aluminum color. Very beautiful. Again, quite of high class, but you know, kind of similar also to the Superb, because we have the same climate units, for example. In the rear, although it's the shortest car, we have a lot of knee space, definitely, and the rather upright seating position for the rear is also very comfortable. So for a sedan, also a lot of space on the inside. Then the Mazda6 with the facelift. We have a cleaned up interior here as well, less knobs, more functions in the touchscreen then. And what we see here visually is again also kind of premium. They've done a very good job here. Just if you take a look at the very detail, for example, if you touch things or try to shake things, then you get differences to the Volkswagen and the Skoda. There they lead the Mazda a little bit still. We have a spectacular design on the outside, but the inside then you have less space, and also from the headroom is a little less space. We will take a look at that quite soon, but well, least space from all of the three cars here in the rear. Now taking a look at the loading compartments, check out the length. Well, almost 120, let's say 117 in meters length. broadness is about 1 meters and 6 centimeters. And well, the special thing about the Superb is that we have those huge loading compartment opening, this kind of hatch style. It is almost usable as an estate, therefore very practical. The nets, by the way, if you put some luggage in it is good that you can hide it under the net, then you can secure it. But the disadvantage is that, for example, those rolls here below it, they can be caught in the net. So it also has a disadvantage. And that you can see, how is the measurement of it and height. That would still also fit here. So also good as for the loading in the height. But then you see, again, the rolls are caught here in the net. So I'm not sure. If you're transporting a lot of suitcases, I will probably not go for the nets. And then let's go over to the Passat. Classic trunk layout we have here. However, the length, let's see. Well, it's also really long, 117. So it's almost the same in the length. And how broad is it? Well, it's a little bit shorter down here, some centimeters shorter than in the Superb. It will be about 1.5 meters. But then we have a lot of huge spaces here. That is also possible that you can load that one. And of course, you are limited here with loading the trunk, definitely. Height here is just about 50 centimeters. But you can see you are definitely limited in height. The Superb offers more loading in the height, but still the length, you can see you put your suitcases through. But again, the Superb is the loading king because it's also more practical to use. And then let's go on to the Mazda6. See how the length plays out here. And well, I guess it will be almost the same again. And yeah, 117, 116. So the length is kind of basically the same with every car. And here, well, it's because we have not a separated chambers here. It's almost, well, 1.36 meters, but only because you can go all through. If you put just the compartment here, it's about 1 meter in the broadness. And let's see, well, same limitation of the loading as in the Passat, but you can put your suitcases way through again, no problem. So Passat and Mazda6 look kind of the same. I think the height is maybe even more limited here. Let's see. Yeah, also about 50, so it doesn't make such a difference. But clearly from all the three, the Superb is just the most versatile one because we have this hatch opening. Short look at the engines, we compare them. Naturally aspirated, this is the technology from Mazda, 2.5 liters, 192 horsepower, 7.9 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers. A different strategy to go for the naturally aspirated engines here, definitely. By the way, no hydraulic dampers for the hood. Then the turbo technology, this is the Passat TSI, 1.8 liter of displacement, 180 horsepower, acceleration figure, kind of the same with the bigger displacement of the Mazda6, 7.8 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers. Combined here with a dual clutch transmission, 7-speed DSG. With the Mazda6 we have a converter automatic gearbox. And then finally with the Skoda, kind of the same engine, a little bit more displacement than with the Passat, also turbo engine, Volkswagen Corporation, 2 liters of displacement, 220 horsepower, so the most powerful one. We picked that one to have, a little bit of variation here. And this one is about 1 second faster from 0 to 100 kilometers than the other ones, so about 7 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 0 to 60 miles an hour. Looking forward to drive those engines here and then really compare it. Now let's go in detail on the design of the Skoda Superb, which is, as I said, my favorite. We see a strong power dome on the front hood, and here in the top trim level L and K we also have those special headlights. You can get it optionally for the lower trim levels. They have the 3D look going in with those tiger claws and also the crystal look inside, inspired by Czech handcraft. It's really beautifully done. And you know, we've told you with our earlier review, even BMW customers say, oh, maybe the next time I'll buy a Skoda because the Superb looks that great. Also in the side profile we got a spectacular outline with those carved lines, and this is, like I said, L&K trim level says here low and inclement as well in the detail, but I would not go for the top trim level. I'll tell you later on the interior why. And these ones are 18-inch rims in this two-color scheme, very beautiful. I'm not so into silver and grey cars, but this one here, the combination really looks very classy. Very sharp coupe style line ending, and we'll have a surprise here with the hatch. We'll show you also with the interior. You see those very strong drop-in line above the door handles, continues all the way until the rear. In the rear, the all-new generation of the Skoda Superb is broader than ever, and it is also accentuated due to the tail lights, which are drawn all the way around here. And here, the same counts as for the front lights. You get this crystal look here in the top trim levels, or optional for the middle trim levels. And yeah, in this case, I would definitely go for this look here, and maybe have this option then. But you know, at some time you can actually also spend some money on this car because the base price is relatively low. And now let's go with the Passat. First of all, it has the most classic layout of all of the three cars we compare. However, in comparison to the older generation, the new B8 generation here, it looks of course more stunning, at least to me. We have 4 horizontal fins now, and they directly lead over to the headlights. It is a beautiful design scheme in my opinion. And then crossing those lines is the lower line of the headlights, and you see also the daytime running light here as well. So a very sharp outline in the front definitely. If we then continue over, 18-inch alloys here, again beautiful with those gray scheme. I think, well, it's not really black, but it's not really high bright chrome, something in between, and I think a very good choice because you also don't see the dust on that too much. Then if you continue to the outline here, the chrome span around the windows, also a little bit rounded up, coupe style like, but you see the windows actually quite high, and that is also a difference to the Mazda6 especially. Here you see that the space we have inside is better used then. The dropping lines, by the way, running on the height of the door handles. I think that's a very beautiful design solution because, well, on the one hand you cannot continue the design line through the whole car, just separately, but then the door handles are also not that prominent. And if we go to the rear, this is the most classic sedan style where we have the flat area here in the rear part. In the rear, those new taillights are stressed more a little bit horizontal, therefore the car sits a little bit broader. But in general, if you compare the other two cars, this one looks most bulky in the rear. So from the rear, definitely the Superb is my favorite, and this one has the very classic layout. But you know, for a sedan, you also keep a lot of space on the inside. Then you can see it right there. By the way, the rear view camera is also just hidden below there. It's here it opens the trunk, but when the rear view camera is activated, it's also hidden here. It flips up, and then you got the rear view camera there. And now let's go with the Mazda6 in a detail on the exterior. I think, again, a very stunning car. And I mean, all three cars are definitely beautiful, and but this one definitely too. See, the front hood is separated again to save some insurance costs, that not the whole hood is in one piece in case of a crash. And recently it has received a facelift, and there the front was slightly altered. You see the big Mazda logo is not three-dimensional anymore. The sensor here for all the assistance systems is put behind that one. And the grille was changed a little bit. Mazda goes for this thin grille now and not the comp structure. Then if we go around here, you see those twinkling headlights, quite of dynamic and far stretched out definitely. And what is remarkable in the side profile, got the sports line top trim over here with stronger bumpers. Bigger alloys, 19-inch we have here, and I'm usually more a fan of chrome-alike alloys, not black ones. But you see, those ones are not really black, they are rather dark gray, and so are really pleasing to me. 19-inch, as I said. And then here in this very side profile, what I really like is, from all the three cars we have here, this is the one that is most accentuated toward the coupe style, and I really like that. So nice design line definitely here, and also the shoulders are quite strong. We'll see it later in the interior. This car is the one that is least using the space it has on the interior, but then it's a design object, and therefore we can see it right here that a lot of the space is used on design. So if you don't need the space, you can afford this design. If you need the space, you have to think about it. And finally, the rear, as content as I am with the front and the side profile, I'm not that very much liking the rear, because this chrome span here, well, it's there to accentuate the broadness of the car. We've seen a little bit alike also at the others, but here it looks a little bit deplaced in comparison to what is below that. So imagine this car without this chrome span, then I think those rather beautiful and simply designed headlights that are drawn away all around the back, they would actually, account a little bit more. And what is quite interesting, and it might have something to do with this big overhang we have here in the rear, that this car is really the longest in the comparison, or well, 1 centimeter longer as the Skoda Superb, so it's basically the same. And here also the sedan version of the Mazda6 is longer, 7 centimeters, than the estate version. That is very remarkable. Usually, for example, estate versions are longer. In this case, it's the sedan, but it's more, again, as I said, with those overhangs in the front, especially in the rear, that usually make the difference. Very solid door handles, I like that, and also when you close the door, nice sound. This is really premium quality. Then we got the bright interior here, L&K top trim level, which is unfortunately real leather. And also, I checked it in the price list, the Alcantara leather option is also with real leather on the outside. However, there are also cloth seats with the middle trim levels, ambition and style available. You see here, the form of the seat is actually very comfortable, not too tall though. And then we got a high-class steering wheel as well. And you can get piano veneer here, but also, for example, matte aluminum is available. We've shown you that one in the other review we have from the Superb as well. And when I have taken a seat here, it's really luxurious, no matter what. And Skoda is definitely premium now, at least with this car. And got a very spacious surrounding, and to me it's the most spacious surrounding here in this 3-car comparison test. It's you sit down and have so much space in every part of the car actually. The only thing, you know, for very tall drivers, when you're about 190 meters, those premium seats here are not that high, so my shoulders are actually on the level above the seat, and they're also not that sporty, but in general still comfortable for tall people. If you want sportier seats and also those that are actually more suitable for tall people, it's better actually to go for the Octavia RS, because there you got those sports seats. These ones are focused on comfort here. Also got some adjustments right here, everything electrical in this top trim level, lumbar support in the front, and also a memory function for the seats. Cockpit overview. Here they weren't as daring as they were with the exterior. It's rather conservative, but again very classy, and also already in the lower trim levels. Here you got, you know, some more fancy stuff then. But in general, well, you got the steering wheel that isn't that small, so it's again more on this comfortable aspect, and rather horizontal lines, very clear lines, and everything is, you know, has a good overview. You don't have too much buttons. Everything gets clear kind of very fast. The instruments, classic analog style, and even with a little bit of vintage touch here in the LNK, because we got those bright backgrounds and the round backgrounds with the instruments. And well, I would go for the matte aluminum style here. We've seen it in other cars here already, because this black veneer, I'm not really a huge fan of that one. And then let's take a look at the infotainment system. You see, in the general overview, we have this digital analog clock, quite funny, but very elegant style here again, I think. And then if you activate anything, well, I have to push here first. This, for example, the media, everything is with those hotkeys, and that's quite good because you then can very fastly access, for example, your phone connection, or also with the radio. And GPS is at the right side here. And I really like the GPS here. This is the biggest one that is available. And you see the reaction times are actually quite fast, and you can also use it iPad-alike. And this one are the buttons that are on the touchscreen here. You can put the new destination then. Then, for example, you see those information about the consumption. We've told you also will be out with this petrol engine 10, 11 liters or something like that. And there are also several things you can adjust then. By the way, it's also possible to use it that way, iPad-alike. And SmartLink is also available. Then you have this smartphone connection with Apple CarPlay, MirrorLink, or Android Auto that is here available too. What else is quite nice? Yeah, I mean, not sure if you would use it, but this one got a TV tuner here optionally, so I can watch some skiing, and there's also sound with it. Funny thing is, there's not, you know, a turning off switch for that, but the easiest way is if you go to media, then the TV tuner is turned off. And when you start driving, then it will also be turned off, but the sound, you can still hear the sound from the TV then. Let's move further to the front. Everything here has been fixed even more. So we know some Volkswagen where this was a little bit loose, but this one has improved in quality and also the speed, how the display is working, very nice. We got the heated seats here, and you can then move on to the touchscreen again and also use this button for the vented seats, and you can have vent and heating at the same time. That is actually also quite cool and luxurious. So good overview here. This is the strength of the vents, and well, for separate climate function, I think it's one of the best that's available here because it's very easy to control and has still good quality. DSG dual clutch transmission, 6-speed, and also a very elegant design, definitely. And you have separate buttons here. Most important is the driving mode, and there you can change different modes. I can also soon show you on the screen here. You can press the button there, or then also go to the touchscreen. And this one, for example, is for you let the car roll, sail. This one sets the dynamic chassis, which is optionally for the middle trim levels and include in the LNK trim level. This one is a little bit harder than Sport, is a little bit stiffer than. There isn't too much of a span between, but you do realize the difference, definitely. And general suspension will be very good, I can tell you. And the rest here, electric park brake, everything is, again, you see, everything is very exact, so really nice build quality. And one short look at the rear view camera, we see it right here. Well, the solution could actually be better. I think it's better with the Passat. And if you go in the front, then it gets deactivated again, but you also have those sensors here. Skoda is famous for huge storage spaces, and we can see them everywhere, starting at the inside of the doors, then moving on to a very huge glove box. And you see how even everything is. And again, a lot of space here, can be cooled as well. Then let's move on here. You see, in some other premium cars, this wasn't as good from the build quality we've seen here. And see how smooth everything is sliding back. That is really superb, as the car says. USB port, 12-volt power supply, aux in, and then you can put your mobile phone here. That the car antenna is supporting the connection of the mobile phone. Beverage holders in here. I've seen better ones here because they cannot be adjusted. You can also close that one, and then huge space here under the armrest. Again, it can be cooled right here. Nice thing as well, and the soft ground, and you can even flip it up. I'm not sure. Maybe from a mobile phone, that could also be some interesting stuff here. And one more for your glasses here. Again, look at how smooth everything is sliding, and I can just say this car has a better build quality than some of the cars that have double the price. It's really one of those cars that is best thought through. For example, also some small trash bin. You can see it right here, and those details are actually what Skoda customers love. Besides the trash bin or the torch in the trunk, there's also always the ice scraper behind the fuel cap, and it's a good place to store it. And again, really a clever solution. And about the ambient light, you can see it right here in the front and also at the sides, at the inside of the doors each. And it's really interesting because you can see here, for example, here you can change the brightness. That's totally dimmed. That's fully empowered then. And you can also change the color right here. For example, also to just plain white. Green is Skoda green. Or you can also pick blue, for example. I really like the blue. I mean, it's more this kind of Volkswagen style because it also fits with the Volkswagen logo. But still, I think it's very beautiful. Also included for the rear passengers, by the way. Let's get in the rear compartment and look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's a very round shape around here. And again, everything fits perfectly to each other. This is really high build quality. Quite easy entry, and I got the seat as I would be driving right now. And still, I got really a lot of knee space. Even the using of all the space available, it's even then the best in all of the three cars. And so you really get the most space here. I could fit another person here just in front of my knees. This doesn't have the panoramic roof, and that leaves me also enough headspace, even here in the sedan. And the seating position is not that far lying back. It's very comfortable for such a sedan. So to me, the most comfortable seating position here in the rear compartment. So if you're traveling with adults here, with tall adults in the back, this car is then the way to go. And here again, we got some quite nice details. For example, we also got the sunshade we can put on. But you see it when I close the door, that also here those windows, they are a little bit darkened in the rear. That is also against sun and gives you a little bit more of a privacy. And there's optionally also separate climate control for the rear available, even seat heating. But that is again optional. And last but not least, we also have the function to put the seat in the front from here actually, or from the side. And that offers you a great luxury position here. Maximum next is here. You can really use that one as a chauffeur car, no problem. And you can see here, you can attach an iPad here for a rear infotainment system. Then very nice for your mobile office is this one here. Separate power plug. This is the German version here now, and 12-volt and USB for the rear passengers. Let's take a look at the trunk. You can use that key, beautifully done. very well structured. You can press the button here or also go for that one here. Electric opening is optionally available. And this is the best trunk here, best loading area you can really use. I mean, look at this one. You don't have a separated one. It's more than a hatch. And if you compare it to the Estate, we also have the Skoda Superb Estate in review. Well, here you already got so much space. It's really incredible. And nice details you have there as well. Let's start with flipping the rear bench. You have buttons here on both sides, and you can release it right here. And then you got an even loading area. Absolutely no problem. By the way, it was quite interesting. The right one, everything flipped, with the left one didn't do anything so far. That's quite interesting concept. Then you see the really huge loading area. And you know, Skoda has this marketing slogan, simply clever, and in this case, I must say, it is actually true. You got those nets where you can put your trolleys under it. Also, this one's here, you know, there's an interior package available where you got these practical nets. And for example, also about this one, you got the torch here, separated here, LED, and you see, as soon as I put it in, then the light there gets activated again. Nice solution. Let's get inside. Very solid door handles, and also when you close the door, it's his favorite Passat closing sound, really solid. And I've put the window down on purpose because you see I can put my fingernail in between here. It's very interesting, and see it's kind of like a double layer, and therefore the car is also that well isolated. Then if I take a seat, these ones are the optional Ergo comfort seat. I can really recommend them, especially for tall people. It really feels like they suit the human body form, you know. It's really that they have tested that quite a long time, and also got some certificate for that, and I can just stress it, really good feeling. And also the surface is really nice because we got some one textile cloth here on the outside, which is kind of soft, and then a special one that is a little bit more sticky on the inside, that you don't slide around that much. And you can also lengthen the seating area. That is very nice then as well, especially for tall people. And we got some special controls here below then as well. And those are the controls. I think it's a very strange mix because we have here, this one is electronically for the back part of the seat, also electronical the lumbar support, but then to put the seat higher and lower, you have to use the manual one, and also to put it higher in the front manually, and also lengthening it, the part here is also manual, and putting front and the back is again manually. I'm not sure why didn't they do everything electrically. I mean, it's a quite expensive seat. And Ergo Comfort says here that is a massage function, but it predominantly works at the lower lumbar part. And again, another upward perspective, you see the different cloth materials, also visually very attractive. And let us see the cockpit perspective, see the general overview. I'm really in favor of this interior because the main elements are here those vents, which form a very horizontal line. You see the inside of the vents go a line with a fixed part here, with an analog clock here as well, and everything looks very clean, very horizontal. We got the matte aluminum style here, different styles for that one here available, of course. But I think, well, the classiest interior of all the three, I think. But of course, it comes close to the one of the Skoda. Everything from great build quality. Then, if we turn on the ignition, you see different things happening. For example, first of all, Volkswagen logo in the center screen. This is the biggest GPS that is available. And I also got the digital instruments. We're going to take a detailed look at that one very soon. Other thing, 7-speed DSG. Again, also good build quality. If you feel everything, slide everything to the front and back again, that everything really fits. Also temperature stuff here and so on. But again, it's not better than the Skoda build quality, so it really keeps at the same level. Driver's point of view is like this. Nice steering wheel, good handling, and also not too tall. If you look over to that side, this is the POV from the driver. Still again very nice. And looking at the lower console, it's also with a nice design with those edges there at the lower part. Instruments, those are the digital ones like the Audi Virtual Cockpit, just that it's called Active Info Display here. You have to pick it optionally, so you can also go for the standard analog one. And interesting is what you can show in the middle part, assistance systems, driving data, for example, tire pressure, phone information, your entertainment system, and so on. And then, as I've shown you already, you can also put the GPS there, or GPS info in the left side, for example, the height where we actually are at the moment. Classic would be that you see the arrows there and consumption. Then in the middle you see how much we've consumed, and right is the range. So a lot of possibilities. I think it's a very clear display and it looks very beautiful. So my favorite digital display, although I have nothing against analog displays, the classic ones. And the GPS we have here is also one of my favorite ones, definitely. You can use it like an iPad, zoom in and out. The reaction times are also very nice. You can scroll inside the map. Then you have those buttons here at the lower part with the proximity sensor where you put in, for example, new destination. However, you can still have the hotkeys for GPS or the general menu here. There's also this App Connect available if you have the Apple CarPlay, MirrorLink or Android Auto phones available, that you can connect them. And can also browse with those knob here. That is also possible. So use this one or use it right here. But you always have to. You can also change to the English language tree as well. Everything is working very intuitively and very fast. Definitely, media or voice. Next source.
Selection. This function is currently not available.
Sorry again.
Next command.
Next source.
Source aux.
So that is working, but the aux source is not plugged in at the moment. So voice stuff here also working. And the climate control, good quality, nice to turn. Also see temperature below here. Here there's a button for heated steering wheel and heated seats at the same time. It is also appearing in the display then. And in the display then you can also just activate one of those. For example, just the heated steering wheel or just the heated seats. And driving modes are right here. You can either pick the button here. Later on I'll tell you more what that does. Or then switch also just to using the touch screen. Sport, individual, comfort and so on. Adaptive suspension. This is a rear view camera with a very good solution. You can either have this split view here, where we have the rear view in the right part, and left part is in the different sensors with this drone fake view from above. And there's also a live view there possible. You can also put it on the whole screen, the rear view camera, see the tripod here behind, and you have different setups where you can show some stuff. For example, here very close look from behind. Then you can also change the contrast and all the stuff. So a lot of possibilities what you want. Or this one here is the big drone view from above then. So definitely the best one that is available here from all the three cars, this camera system here. Also, as you see, there's a front camera. Storage space at the inside of the doors, standard one, but quite a lot of space. Then the glove box coming on quite fast, but we also got heavy stuff in there. Also, a cooling function is available. Then in the middle console, shown you that before, just some small space, predominantly for smoking, but you know, you shouldn't do that in this car. Then in the middle part, again something for smoking, but you just put it out. Good beverages holders here as well. Then the middle armrest, you can put that one up. Again, very solid quality. Everything is totally fixed. And inside we got a USB slot. And one more for the glasses up here, quite huge. And one more small storage space next to the steering wheel. Very nice. What is always nice, by the way, in the right part you see how to open the hood, and the left part here a separate button to open the trunk from the driver's perspective. And I think those two levers here, they are perfectly attached kind of, because you're always searching a car, where is what, and I think this is just the right position here at the left side near to the door. Oh, and by the way, I love it when you turn off the car. See here, there's a small Passat coming, driving. Oh, hello. Very nice. Looks very great. Let's get in the rear, and wow, with the wide angle here, doesn't the car look great also from the rear part, and also when it's opened, you know, all the shapes and stuff. Let's see what we can expect. An attachment for the rear seat entertainment here, by the way. And you know, it's the shortest car we have here, minus 10 centimeters in length, compared to the Mazda6 and the Skoda Superb. And still we got a lot of knee space, so we are really using the space we have here. The Superb has even a little bit more knee space, but however, considering the length, very, very good result here. As for the headroom, I mean, we're still in a sedan. We don't have a panoramic roof here, but here is easily space for 190 meter in height for tall people. So better result than in the Mazda6 here, definitely, and almost same result in the Skoda Superb. They're even a little bit better, but I'm really kind of surprised. One of the best as it comes for the rear headroom when you're driving a sedan. If you want the panoramic roof and then travel with tall people here in the rear, then you should probably go for the estate version. Then it's also not a problem. But in general, also very good seating position. You're not falling too far back there, and such a good, comfortable car for 4 people, even here with the sedan version. And this is when you put the middle armrest down, beverages holder for the rear passengers, and also the ski hatch is available to open right here. Do it like that. An option, you can also get the 3-zone climate function, that you can have separate control here in the rear. And below that one here, yes, we know that from the Superb already, standard German power plug. I'm not sure, I think when the American version it might be a little bit different, but you have the real power here in the rear, good for your car office. And the loading compartment, you're flipping the VW logo. It's electronically here in this. Everything very solid here, by the way. Well processed. Some smaller segments here. You can also remove them if you want. 12-volt power supply. Goes also wide in there. Definitely quite well to use. But again, not that well loadable than with the Superb, because we have the classic setup here. But I've heard that especially guys in Southern America, they really appreciate the separate trunk because of burglary reasons. So that's also one aspect. By the way, here for some bags to hang in, also nice solution. Then to flip the seats, you have to pull this one here, and the difference, and with the Mazda here it automatically flips down. That's really a good thing. You can do that right here. And then you have quite even loading space. So nice solution. Get some lip around here, and if I put it up again, there is also a ski hatch available. That would be right here then. Let's get inside. The doors here, the handles also here, that one. It's kind of like not that well isolated from the inside. That is definitely a huge difference to the Passat and the Superb. Then we had the sports line in here, the top trim level, as I told you earlier, and that one here does not automatically come with the leather seats. These ones you have to pick optionally, about 2,000 euros, but I would not go for them because it harms animals, and just stay with the normal cloth seats then, and they have the standard equipment here. Black cloth is available then just with every car, and that will be perfectly fine. When I take a seat here, about the general seat form, it is generally comfortable, definitely, but you do realize that this car is not as well suitable for very tall people as the Volkswagen or the Skoda. There in the seat you have more space in the height and also in the length, and you feel like you really can fall into the seat and have a lot of space here on the surrounding. Here it's more like you sit really on the seat and a little bit, you know, just on top of that one. Really a little bit hard to explain. I hope you get what I actually mean. And well, what most important thing is for you, if you're not that tall, it won't matter that much. If you are, let's say, above 180 meters, then definitely other ones are a better pick from the seating position. Mazda has really worked on the build quality, and we can see that everywhere, so especially in the past years. And you know, all of the gaps, they actually fit very well to each other. We also got some faux leather as a styling element here. That one I really like. Same we see at the inside of the doors, especially when it's here in the bright part. So, I mean, why not offer some faux leather on the outside for the seats and then Alcantara on the inside? Then would be a perfect setup we would have here. But also the other artificial leather is used here, and also in combination with the plain plastic. That one is, everything is very well executed and a huge step forward in comparison to all the other Mazda models we have seen like about 5 years ago. But newer models, they all follow this kind of a scheme. And just the steering wheel, I think it looks more high class in the Superb, and in the Passat this one looks a little bit plainer. Also the buttons here. And then if we find some very little details, we still see a lot of differences then to the Volkswagen Corporation models and the Mazda build quality. For example, take the electric adjustment of the seats here. This is lumbar support. And then listen to the sound of the electric motors, the small ones. So loud. It is way more silent in the other ones, for example. But generally works quite well. And by the way, it's not really working to put it all the way forward, but you can really put those seats all the way backward. That might also be an interesting information when you want to load something that is very long. You can do that with the co-driver seat then. Or take this here in the middle console. You see this very small, I'm not sure, it's some foil or something like that. Some wrap that was left over that hasn't been cut out very properly. That wouldn't happen in the other ones. However, it's really just a question if you look in very detail. Because if you look at the basic build quality here, for example, also the middle console, that really looks very good, very fancy. And another interesting thing to rate the detail build quality, if you put up the cover here from the armrest, then you see that like that, you can shake it to the right and left. At the Skoda and the Passat, it's really, everything is fixed. And also the whole middle console can be shaken a little bit here. So yes, there is still room left for improvements, but in general I'm really satisfied with the interior here, and I think all Mazda customers can already enjoy sitting in a quite high build vehicle. And as I've stated several reviews already, they have good durability as for, you know, the basic technological stuff. Let's turn on the ignition now. You see the whole cockpit overview is defined again. You know, we've got a lot of this faux leather here, and I really like this styling element, and looks very good. And it will also be more durable than the real leather because it stays cleaner even better, and you can clean it better than again. The GPS is, you see, kind of well integrated here for me. I think, well, it looks like it could be slidden down, but it's not actually possible. The screens are in the other ones a little bit larger, but I think this size is generally enough. Let's also turn on the instruments now to see how long the GPS took to load, and We can also check how long does it take if we pick a destination. For example, if I go for, let's say, go for Cologne. You know, I can either do it here with the central knob I got below there, or what is also possible, I can also use the touchscreen when I'm standing still, or maybe when I'm the co-driver. So that is really a good thing, and that you have both possibilities. See here, you can also switch around. In the other ones, you just have the touchscreen. So that is definitely an advantage here in the Mazda. And let's say start, so we can see how long the loading process really takes. And that was actually quite fast. And see when I zoom in, yeah, it could be a little bit faster, but in general, it's quite good. And you see the basic visual display is also quite modern. Now in detail, by the way, it does not flicker in real life. That's because there's a difference in the rate of the camera and of the screen. This is the basic menu. Again, you can control it like that, or you can also use it with a touch. And then you can, for example, also connect the phone. That works quite flawlessly as well. Searching for some phones. So, and then we also got the entertainment system. But now I've turned everything off. But in general, quite basic overview applications is also possible. Fuel economy monitor. iStop is this start-stop function called, for example. Let's go back to the main menu. Then you can here go to the settings. And for example, also here you can adjust the height. No, that doesn't work with touch. I think I have to go like this then with the central knob. Maybe it's not. It's maybe not possible when the ignition is turned off, and I can show you that quite soon. But this is to control the height of the head-up display. I'll show you quite soon. And then you can also change the settings for the display here. For example, auto. This one is maybe good to see. Here, mode for the day and night. Like that. That would be night mode. Then you see. You can't hardly see it here, but usually even auto, then it's automatically switching. And rear view camera comparison, it's optional of course. And yeah, the display is not flickering, but the resolution is worse than with the other vehicles, that's for sure. It is a good option to pick, definitely. You can see those opticals that are behind you then, but definitely the resolutions of the other ones are better. Head-up display is going up when I start the engine. See it right here, and then you can also see the information down there. And let's see if we can get you a better shot of it. Yeah, there it is. And again, it's not flickering in the real side. And then I can go back to those options again, that I can show you how that one works. Because that's interesting. Because now I had a small freeze in the infotainment system. Now the freeze is gone, finally. So go to settings, and then you can adjust the height here. And you see, there you go, you can put it higher. Okay, it's gone. There it is back again. And gone to the lower part. So to me, it's like best to have that in this side. You know, it's not a real head-up display that is projected into the screen, but it's this separate screen we have in the front here. Then about the instruments, very classical and almost all analog. You just have the screen on the right here where you can, for example, put the consumption information and so on. And digital is also the total kilometers, but rest is all analog, which is not bad. I mean, it's classic and that's good over here. Driver's point of view would be like this, with the steering wheel and looking over to those, well, with the Mazda6 facelift, everything has been cleaned up, less buttons, most of the functions in the infotainment system. I think it looks already quite clean and very nice. Let's go in detail with the air conditioning part. Seat heating is right here, it's optional of course. Then the climate unit here. Interesting, do you hear that? Like an additional sound that is coming then. Interesting. The build quality here has also been improved. You see it's not loose or something like that. And they really paid attention to that one. Also how the buttons feel here. That already feels high class, very well done. and a good display on the climate unit. And I think it's good if you have this one still separated. Storage spaces at the inside of the doors, then a classic glove box, it's sliding down quite smoothly. Then we got this middle console part where we have a 12-volt power supply hidden behind that one. Then in the very middle console you can slide down this. Also feels good, 2 beverage holders, they are adaptive. One for your glasses up there. And as shown earlier, below the armrest there's another spot here, and also with 2 USB slots and another 12-volt power supply. Rear compartment. What is interesting, you can see it right here. This is for the child safety. If you put that one down, you can still open the door from the outside, but it would not be possible. Where is it? There it is. Here, when I put the handle, not possible to open the door from the inside. Then you can easily remove that one again. Then let us take a seat. And first of all, about the headroom, no panoramic roof. I still got enough headroom when I'm sitting quite upright. It's kind of left above my head. If I lean back, however, a little bit, my hairs are starting to touch the ceiling. Again, for our non-subscribers, 1.86 m is my height. And that is a little bit limited here. We got more space, especially in the Superb, and also the seating position is more leaned towards the back. But in general, the seating position is still quite comfortable here. However, we have a huge difference in knee space. You see, generally it's quite good. Enough space for my knees, but we have way more space, especially in the Superb, although the length of the car is the same here. And the trunk now. Different concept than with the Superb. Same with the Passat. Separate opening for the trunk, and that is not that practical. Of course, the Superb way leads the other 2 cars there. However, in length, you see got a lot of length here with the trunk, and so you do have a lot of space no matter what. Also some small spaces on the right and left part to store some stuff. Flipping the seats is a little bit complicated because you can just do it from here like this, then pull that one, then go around and flip the seats, and then you can have this maximum in length here there. And by the way, this again about the very detailed build quality. You see what comes up here when you flip the seats, for example. But however, and then you can also use this system I've shown you earlier, that you can put the other seat maybe all the way flat. But well, of course, it's not that flat way possible because you then touch the back of the flipped bench here. Let's start driving with the Skoda. First, I'm going to tell you something in general about driving this one. Later on, then how it compares to the others. And if you just look at it as a single car, the first thing you realize, and also in comparison to older Skoda cars, for example, this one here is so silent. It really makes you relaxing instantaneously. You start the car, start driving, especially here with this petrol engine, that doesn't make any noise at all, it seems. Then when some cars are passing you, it's just like you can't even hear them. The suspension, we got the DCC here, the adaptive one. And well, that's someone next to me hearing some music now, some very stupid music. What about the DCC? Well, the thing is, you can get it optionally for about 1,000 euros. And it's included already in the L and K trim level. It's the top trim level. And with the top trim level, of course, you get some more equipment then, but I would usually go for middle trim level and then pick the stuff you really want to have. Like, for example, the DCC. It's about 1,000 euros extra for the middle trim levels. I'm right now in the eco mode, so-called eco mode, and I do like driving that one in everyday driving because this one enables the sailing. So the car is just rolling when you leave the throttle untouched, and that really can save you some fuel. Of course, that's important on the long run. And everything else, from the settings is rather set on comfort, basically. And that is, of course, also good for everyday driving. And wow, again, it's almost like riding an air suspension. That good is the suspension, really, but it's not an air suspension. It's just the adaptive one here. But as I said, it's really, really good. So from a riding perspective, it's one of those cars where you start driving and say, okay, of course, I'll buy this car. Why not? I mean, then about the steering, it's also generally set on comfort. It's not really stiff, and also when the car is just moving a little bit around, you feel it's shaking just a little bit, but not too much. But definitely not the sportiest ride in the standard setup. Also, when you don't go for the DCC, the dynamic chassis control, and pick the standard suspension, then you also can expect a rather comfortable car that is really set on this emphasis and not on the sporty ride. However, you can also change that when I go. Well, there's also a comfort mode, as I've shown you earlier. Then there's a normal mode where you don't have this sailing effect that hard. And then let's test what about the sport mode. We get a kind of little bit of preload for the RPM then. And the gears will turn up higher. And we can also see how that really changes the suspension, because about the adaptive suspensions, there are actually really big difference. Sometimes we get cars where we have a wide span of comfort until sport. And sometimes it doesn't really make such a huge difference. You hear that with the throttle, when I'm pushing the throttle now, immediate reaction. And I also just need a little bit of throttle pushing, and the car is really accelerating harder than before. And well, about suspension, it is still very comfortable at the moment. Do I really feel a big difference steering wheel wise? I would say it's a little bit. It's still set on the comfort, definitely, but as the engine performs very well, it's also fun to move it fast. Maybe you've seen it from my steering. As the steering needs, well, it does need some steering way. It's not the most progressive one, definitely. So, well, fast cornering isn't that much fun with it. The engine, very sporty, very direct it feels. However, now, I'm not so sure about the steering then. That could be a little bit more progressive, for example, as we know from the Octavia RS. That would be even more fun than for sure. Yeah, the sport mode is not really the best one for everyday driving. So we change back again, or we can go to individual, as I've shown you before. And let's see how that does make the change. And there we can set, for example, the DCC from sport to normal and back again. That is possible, for example. Or maybe I also go for the engine now and set it to eco, and we don't have this, this overboost. And let's see, we can then in the individual mode switch from sport to the normal mode and to the comfort mode back again. Maybe we feel the difference there better, but in general I can really say about the engine. There you can really feel the difference in the sport mode, but suspension wise it really stays comfortable. But I mean, for this class here, that's totally the right decision of Skoda to go for this comfort ride mode. Now I got the engine set to normal. I got suspension on sport, and let's maybe do some right-left tests here. Well, the car performs good, definitely, but needs some steering way. And we can test that one then with the comfort soon. As soon as the traffic light goes to green again. And yeah, well, basically you have a lot of parameters you can set there, but basically you'll be just fine with the eco or the comfort mode, definitely. For the steering wheel, I also didn't feel such a difference then. Well, it says steering here, I can do it to sport steering. Just when standing still. Let's see if it makes a difference when standing still normal now. No, I don't really feel it. Maybe now when we drive. So let's put DCC on sport and the steering on sport. See how that performs. Guys, I'm really not so sure if there's such a difference. I can feel that. I can't feel that it's really a big difference. But what is good that the suspension itself is adaptive, so it will also generally work pretty well in the riding. But you know, you will also be just fine with the standard suspension. When standing still, we got the start-stop mode that is activated, and so it's all completely silent. Sound insulation was also one of the big things they have worked on with the new generation here, and we really do feel that. I got a quite good overview to all of the sides, and I still feel quite comfortable and also agile enough. So it's not that you think, okay, it's the biggest car in the segment and you don't feel comfortable anymore because you've got a huge thing on the road there. So that's also still fine. The engine is the strongest one in the test. Okay, that's BCC comfort. I'm not sure. The strange thing is that when I go to the individual mode, it sometimes resets the settings. That is a little bit annoying, I must say. So sport again. Got the preload from the engine. Yeah, actually I got a little bit more steering input there. That does work actually. A little bit directer. I like that. So let's try it again with the new. No, it's really because the road is bumpy. Oh wow, really got a damaged road here, but the suspension is doing that very well. Okay, going to comfort mode again. Yeah, now as the road is bumpy, then you feel the difference. Wow, when we then switch to the comfort again, it's like riding a carpet. But you know, we have had suspensions where the span is actually a little bit wider, but here, but the engine, it doesn't really fit the car very well. So I would just pick the normal mode probably, then you'll be rather fine with the car. I really like the engine, by the way. It's this 2-liter turbo petrol engine, 220 horsepower, 6-speed DSG. So let's see if we can get in there. You know, the difference from DSG to the Passat is that the Passat has 7-speed DSG. So it's also interesting in the comparison. So although the Passat has less horsepower, it got 1 gear more. But in general, a dual clutch transmission, it shifts really totally smoothly, and you almost don't feel the shifting process when you're not hammering a throttle. It's like going up, and you don't really feel it. It's really incredible. However, you know, there have always been some concerns with the durability of the dual clutch transmission. However, you know, in my close circle, I didn't hear any complaints about that so far. And well, it is actually fun to ride this strongest engine here of all, and I can recommend it. However, about consumption, this one here will score about at least 11 liters on 100 kilometers. So, yeah, maybe that is too much for you then. And we can also do some small acceleration tests from the low speeds. Let's say we go maybe 30 to 70 or something like that. Something that, well, let's say 20 to 70. That happens in the city, maybe. Let's go now. Well, that's 80. Oh. Well, for a small petrol engine, really good performance. Can't argue about that. That is really nice. And you know, when we're in the sport mode, so it took a little bit to shift down, we can do that again in the sport mode. And you can also see the difference there. Let's say starting from 20 now. Then let's go. 60. You saw there, the car didn't have to shift down first. That was immediate acceleration, and actually also a quite impressive one. Welcome to this ride then with the Volkswagen Passat. 1.8 liter TSI, so a little bit less displacement, with the Skoda, but very similar engine still. 180 horsepower, again less than the Skoda. Told you we picked that one on purpose, that we also have an engine that has a little bit less power. And this engine has kind of the same acceleration than with the Mazda, with a naturally aspirated engine with 2.5 liter of displacement, more displacement, a little bit more horsepower. But as we got the turbo here as well, both engines are almost at the same power. Also going more in detail on that when I drive the Mazda later. And but just to give you some figures now, 7.9 seconds and 7.8 seconds. So basically the same from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. Both of those engines, Passat and Mazda, we have right here. I also picked this engine here, in combination with the DSG. This is done here, a 7-speed DSG. 1 gear more than with the Skoda, by the way. I picked that one here because I think it's the best suitable engine overall for this car, considering the size and the weight of the car, and also the consumption. Because they are very strong engines for a car, they have weak engines for a car, you have such a wide variety. But then, which one is really, the best on average when you consider all of the factors? And I think it's that one here. We'll see. We also have started a consumption test. We've just started here with city driving, so it says 12 liters now, but I'm quite sure that when we go on the motorway, it will go down. The usual consumption figure will also be about 10 liters for this engine. It's almost the same for those around 2 liter displacement engines from the Volkswagen Corporation as for the petrol engines. What is remarkable, if you compare it, for example, also to the Skoda Superb, the Passat riding here, first of all, it is the smallest car in our comparison. That means 10 centimeters less in length than the Superb and the Mazda6, and you do feel that. This car here feels as the most versatile one. So fast reactions are actually no problem. Let's do another lane change here, then you can also see it. The car really feels very agile. Steering is also quite direct and feels kind of natural. We also have the different riding modes here because we have the optional dynamic suspension. And then we can even pop that one up. For example, that one was the normal driving mode. Now I can also go to the sport driving mode and with a better preload kind of, and gears are turned up higher. This steering also reacts a little bit directer. I really like that. And when you put this one here on the sport mode, you can come close to the other engine than in the Superb when it's being ridden in normal mode. It's very, very interesting as well. So do I miss the power that the Superb has here? Yeah, well, you do feel the difference. And I mean, it's about 1 second from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour that the Superb is faster. So when you got these situations, for example, you see, traffic light is turning to yellow, and you I still want to catch that one, or maybe fast overtaking on the motorway, then you do feel a difference with the Superb, definitely. But however, as the Passat has the turbo here, you will get along with this kind of power we have here with that engine very well, and it's really totally fine. And as soon as we've reached the motorway, I can also show you some acceleration test here with the Passat, and that you can see that you get enough boost as soon as the turbo sets in. Then about the sound insulation, I mean, I feel like Tesla rained a little bit now, so that makes it usually a little bit louder always. But still, although we had this rain, it's perfectly silent in here, and I don't feel like I have to talk loud. Superb and Passat are kind of the same from the insulation. If you ask me if one of them is better, a little bit maybe for the Passat, because that is also one thing. What do they actually do different from Audi, Volkswagen, Skoda, Seat? Well, basically they share a lot of parts, but for example Audi often uses certain screws that are a little bit more premium, and as for the sound insulation, it's quite often that, for example, the Volkswagen models are a little bit better isolated. than the Seat or the Skoda ones, but just very slight differences, and both on the very high level, but maybe the Passat here even a little bit better. I think the main difference is really that the Passat feels sportier in handling, as it's a little bit shorter, and it's also from the basic setup, I think, a little bit stiffer than the Superb. The Superb more conveys this feeling, this is already high-class luxury, and you want to relax, have a lot of comfort, a lot of room. Here in the Passat, you also have the feeling you have a lot of room, but not as much as in the Superb. When you drive the Superb, you feel like you have a little bit more space as a driver. The seats here are also very good, as I've told you earlier, and while riding, they also offer a good long-term comfort. If I have to pick between the Superb and the Passat seats, it's a good question. I don't know. They're both very good, definitely. I think the seat form in the Superb is even better, but the seat surface here in the Passat, that is a very good combination, as I've shown you. That's maybe the main difference. See the agility when I'm doing some left-right, very good reactions. And the sport mode here is very pleasing, especially in combination with this engine, because with the Superb engine we had there, of course you can get that one for the Passat as well, but we picked different ones so we can show you different engines for both cars. When you pick the 2-liter with 220 horsepower, then go to the sport mode, that could be a little bit too much for everyday riding. But here, when you put this one here in the sport mode, it's a very good setup, perfectly fine. It's not like you feel, oh, it's turning up the gears too much or so. That's really very good. And you see, as soon as we went out of the city, the consumption went down now to 8.7 liters. Of course, when I push down the throttle, that will go a little bit up again. But it stresses my point that you will end up about 10 liters. If you have a little bit less power here with the Passat engine we picked, you will consume also less fuel than with the Skoda Superb engine. Not necessarily because the engine itself consumes so much less. It's more about when you have a stronger engine, you quite often also feel like, okay, come on, I'll go for that one, I'll push the throttle even more. That just happens. Automatic cruise control, very good here in the Passat. Got the display in the front here, and the distance is perfectly kept, and also the car reduces the speed to 0 kilometers if necessary. Some Autobahn acceleration we can test right now. For example, let's go from like about 60 to 110. Let's go now. That's it. So the acceleration figure from the Mazda and the Passat here, these two engines, they are kind of equal, as I've told you, but as we got the turbo in here, the Passat here feels a little bit, as it would do it easier. Not that exaggerated from the sound. Also the engine sound is very well isolated, so I mean, if you want a sporty engine sound, you probably should go for a sport car, but here it's really like even totally silent when I push the throttle. So really, I would say the car of silence, definitely in the mid-size segment. And if you think about, oh, are you driving a premium car? Yes, that's definitely the case with the Passat. So, I mean, some years ago, if you would told someone, oh, I'm picking a premium mid-size car, I'm deciding between Audi, BMW and Mercedes, or maybe a Volvo, and you say, oh, did you consider a Passat? Hey, that's not premium, but that has definitely changed now with the new Passat B8, with the new generation that came out in 2014. That one really accounts for the premium segment now, and all of the riding, the suspension is really so good. It's the same actually with the Superb, just with a little bit more sportier focus. I feel that, especially now when I'm driving a little bit faster here on the Autobahn, yeah, it comes close to an air suspension. That good is the suspension, and yeah, you can just applaud them for doing that. And although we have a mid-size car here, the car feels that agile that you think, okay, that might also be a compact car as for the sportiness, and that's, I think, a very good thing. Driving about 110 still on the Autobahn, and it's still so silent in here, so a long-term travel car. That's also why the Passat It's the most famous business car in Germany by far. So everyone who's, especially if you're on a fixed employed term, you either get a car from your company, then it's usually a Passat. And all of the big fleets from the very large corporations in Germany, they also always have the Passat as a main car, definitely. That might also be some reason why some Passat can actually sometimes be cheaper than in those fleet offerings than other cars that are usually, less expensive. But then the system can really change. Looking into GPS, I can do that in the central screen, and it's a very good overview, definitely. And I've told you earlier, I can also change the instruments while driving, what I want to see. By now I had all the classic view. Consumption, by the way, now at 9 liters, that's a realistic value. I know I have like the arrows from the speedometer are my full sight, and I can still change that to whatever I want to have inside there. I wouldn't do it so often while driving. I'll get off the motorway, fast corner, and see the agility again. It's still kind of a wet road. Hammer the brakes now. Good braking, definitely. Another traffic light, and then we'll also do some faster acceleration around the corner. That will also be interesting. By the way, the driving modes I can also go to this eco mode. I've got the rolling that I can save fuel. I think I do prefer this mode because in everyday driving life, it doesn't feel that good when a car is using the engine brake that much, especially when they're going more on flat terrain. But let's go to the sport mode again. You can also either pick the button sometimes more or choose it on the touchscreen. And then while waiting, I can also, for example, put the GPS in the central digital instruments. It's the same like in the Audi virtual cockpit, by the way, just has another name here. You can, for example, stay also with the analog instruments, definitely. Really against the side when standing still here. Now it's green. Let's push it. Yeah, little bit of wheel spin. But it was, on the wet road, kind of that of wheel spin. The other cars had a little bit drier road, so not too much of wheel spin here because it's not the most powerful engine. Seen a very good acceleration from the standstill until 50. Really like that. And I can just stress again, from the outside, it's the Passat. It's a very standard car, especially if I think in Germany, it's one of the standard cars. And the basic design, you wouldn't also say, oh, it's that sporty, it's that emotional. But the car is really driving sporty, especially when you got the DCC, the dynamic chassis control, and set it to the sport mode here. You can really have a lot of fun in driving. And I think when I look at all the three cars now, I also tell you more about suspension of the Mazda, of course, when I drive it. This one is definitely the sportiest car of all, most agile car. So if you more prefer the driving fun, then I think you should go for that one. If you more prefer the space and comfort, then definitely go for the Skoda. And Mazda, I think, when you're not that tall, then you'll be best off with the Mazda. And they are also more the stress on the long-term comfort and also softer suspension. That's some in-between conclusion. Let's go in detail on that as well when we drive the Mazda, and then later on we'll sum everything of that up. So far, I hope you enjoyed riding the Passat with me. Now let's go for a detailed round with the Mazda6. As I told you earlier, this is a different kind of engine, naturally aspirated, not as the turbo engines we got in the Volkswagen and in the Skoda. We got more of displacement here, 2.5 liters instead of 1.8 and 2.0. We got the turbo engines. And this is actually quite exciting. So if you look at the paper first, this one here, the 2.5 liter with 192 horsepower, equals the 0 to 100 kilometers an hour acceleration with the Passat engine we have here, 1.8 liter with 180 horsepower. And it feels slower, because in the Passat, the turbo, as soon as the turbo sets in, you get the real boost out of it. But here, it's kind of like a little bit more harmonic, the acceleration. You don't have this setting in turbo. But you have to wait for the turbo to set in a little bit. But still, when you get the boost in, then the subjective feeling remains that the turbo engine would be faster. And comparing it to the one we have in the Skoda with more horsepower, 220 horsepower, that one is really also just objectively faster, actually, because about 1 second less from 0 to 100. This one here and also the one in the Passat is about 8 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers, and the one in the Skoda we have is 7 seconds. So basically they are all in the same region, kind of. But again, I can tell you, just for the feeling, the turbo feels faster for you. However, in general, I'm usually also in favor of the naturally aspirated engines, because, first of all, there's one main part less, and that's the turbo, and this one cannot be broken then, and I think that one is a good thing. However, with this naturally aspirated engine, they also put it a little bit on the higher pressure then you could argue, okay, maybe that's not lasting that long. But in general, Mazda is scoring quite good durability scores, and they actually showed in different surveys also that this really is working, the whole system they have. So as for durability, really good score, definitely. And what is good about this naturally aspirated engine, especially when you're running it on lower torques, it's really calm, and when you push it really, you really have to more go over the RPMs to get the same output than with the turbo. So that's how it basically works. And it can give you the impression that the engine has to work a little bit more. So the turbos, they feel a little bit more refined, let's take it that way. I can do some acceleration tests here, and maybe at slow speed, let's say 30 to 60. Let's go now. There it is. And you maybe heard it, really went up in the RPMs. You think, oh, the engine is really working, but it's also not so bad. So in general, a little bit more of displacement. That's more like the classic way of doing things. And the good thing there is as well that the consumption figure is really close to the one that is stated. I've been saying for years with the Volkswagen engines, for example, come on, they are very good, but they consume too much fuel, and often about 3-4 liters above the stated consumption. And recently they discovered there's really a huge gap between that. However, now with Mazda, you often hit exactly the figure that is actually stated. And whereas the 2-liter turbo engines here, they consume about 10, maybe above that, liters. And here at the moment we are at 8.8. So you can actually say that this engine here is 1 to 2.5 liters usually less consuming. And that's also a good advantage, definitely, for the Mazda. So yes, the turbo feels better, but on the long run, I think the naturally aspirated engine might be, in general, a better solution. So, and then what else about the Mazda? We also do have the start-stop system here, when, for example, the air conditioning is turned off and so on, it also is turning off, theoretically. And I also had, to get a little bit more boost out of it in general, I can also go to the sport mode, and then the gears are turned up even higher, and I got a more direct throttle input. I had this 30 to 60 acceleration test before. When I do it now again and hammer the throttle, you will feel a difference. Yeah, that was a little bit faster now. So you get a better direct input, but the difference is not that huge, and also not more factors like the suspension or steering. They are not affected by this, so it's not this kind of an evolved driving mode system that we find with the Volkswagen Corporation models. So I go back to the normal mode again now. I do see a head-up display in front of me. There I can see my current speed. Also, when I set in the automatic cruise control, then I can also see that information right in front of my head-up display. About that automatic cruise control, it's always optional, of course. Here in the Mazda, the problem is, well, it doesn't go until 0 kilometers. We also have a 6-speed automatic transmission here, which I'm quite content of, definitely. But the problem is, with the Skoda and the VW, it does brake, 0 kilometers, and that's it. Here, it's only working at the speed of, like, let's say above 30 or something like that. That's officially stated. And then at the slow speeds, you have to take the brake yourself. And I think this is a dangerous combination, because either it should work, as a standard cruise control, or if it's an adaptive one, then it should really do this totally autonomous stuff that, in case the car is reducing the speed automatically until the end, until the standstill. This one here, not really fancying that one. About the suspension, generally, I'm very satisfied with it, definitely. In comparison to the, let's say, German-built cars, the Skoda is built in Czech Republic. However, it has this big German influence from the Volkswagen corporations, the owner. Here, the Japanese-built car is more set on the softer suspension. We quite often realize that with different German, Japanese cars. You say that the Japanese manufacturers more focused than on the home and American market, where you got even more traffic jams probably and lower speeds. Therefore, it's better to have a softer suspension. And in the cars that have the German influence, there you say, okay, higher Autobahn speeds, people more appreciate a stiffer suspension. And however, all 3 suspensions are very comfortable, definitely. But here with this one, you do feel it's a little bit softer and doesn't convey this very sporty feeling. The steering is not too indirect, however, the other steerings are a little bit directer, I think, especially with the Passat. So, about sporty ride and direct steering, I think the Passat is really leading that one. Overall, in comfort, I think the Superb is the best one. However, this is also comfortable as for the suspension and also for the steering, no matter what. But I think the other 2 ones are a little bit ahead of that, because they are actually doing this compromise at the same time. They convey a sporty feeling and remain very comfortable. This one here is kind of just comfortable, I would say. And about the long-term riding, if you're close to 190 meters like I am, you will be more content, especially with the Superb, because it offers more space. Here in the Mazda, you more feel like it is better suitable for a little bit shorter persons. To me, for example, here it kind of feels like I was sitting on the car, and in the Superb, for example, I sit in the car. I can get a lower seating position and can have more space for my body overall, kind of like glide into the whole seat more, if you know what I mean. And but that's all about body height, of course, and maybe it's something, a topic for you, or maybe not, depending on your size. But that's why we're here, and that's why we're talking about it. The sound installation, I think, is generally good. I think the Passat is leading that one. At low speeds, you hardly feel any difference, but the higher the speeds get, then you see that the Superb and Passat are also a little bit ahead of this one. But in general, also when you drive this car, it is actually fun to drive the car, definitely, and you also get generally a good feeling. So from driving, there's actually no one of the cars, I would say, don't go for it. So with all 3 cars from driving, I say you definitely have a good deal, definitely. So Ryan test again, yeah. That's actually something interesting with the Mazda model. I think they achieved it, especially in the recent years, that all of their models are really fun to drive. It's not that's really super emotional sports car stuff, besides maybe the Mazda MX-5, which is really a lot of fun. We've shown that review as well. But just in general, they convey also a positive riding feeling. Then about the GPS while controlling it, doing it with the central knob here, down there, because when I reach for the touchscreen, that might be a little bit irritating. So I think it's good that you have both possibilities here. Of course, in the Skoda and in the Passat, you only have one of that. You only can use the touchscreen. Now accelerating onto the, well, we're going uphill, so it's not really representative, but let's do this Autobahn acceleration speed test. Let's do 50 kilometers to 110, starting now. There it is. You heard that again? Well, it is actually quite good for the performance, but the engine was really screaming, crawling for RPMs. That is a little bit different than with the turbo, and especially when you on the Autobahn do this acceleration, because the turbo is of course also available at higher speeds, of course. But here in this case, especially when you're on the Autobahn, let's see, that's overtaking someone. That does actually work faster with the turbo, so you have to be aware of that. But in general, an engine I can really recommend here as well. We have test driven that one in the Mazda6 as well, and it had this new 6-speed automatic gearbox, which I'm also very satisfied with. So to me, this is the perfect combination for a bigger Mazda vehicle, be it the CX-5 or the Mazda6. Big, this 192 horsepower petrol engine. Also the consumption is quite okay, and the 6-speed automatic gearbox, then you will be very fine. Now with the sound installation at 100 kilometers an hour, still quite reasonable, but here you do feel that we had a way calmer ride in the Skoda Superb. That is definitely a difference. Also the steering wheel, when we get to higher speeds now, feels a little bit looser, I would say. Not loser as in winner or loser, more loose. Not that direct contact to the road, however, just talking on a very high level, definitely. So overall, I think you can really enjoy riding the Mazda6. But from the riding standpoint, I think the other two are a little bit ahead of that. But if you look at the prices, we'll talk about that one later as well again. The Mazda6 is also a little bit cheaper, at least. When you compare the list prices, and we always take our German prices because we know very much about those German prices in general. We always take these ones as a reference. By the way, you can also use shifting pedals that you can shift down 1 or 2 gears on your own before, and also shifting up. So some sporty shifting is possible with that one as well. It's quite nice that they thought about it. If you want to get to the automatic mode again, by the way, it's working with every car. Put the right shift pedal and hold it. Then it's going to the automatic mode again. That's, I think, very interesting thing, because there are not so many things where all manufacturers say, okay, that's, we're doing that all in the same way. But this one is actually something they're all doing the same way. So quite interesting from this respect. Let's now get off the motorway again. Testing some fast corner, and also then how the brakes work. Let's apply the brakes now. Yeah, quite good result there as well. So that was the Autobahn ride then. When the traffic light turns to green now, we can also do some fast acceleration within the corner, because when I really push the throttle, and let's see what about the power on the front wheels. Yeah, you maybe heard that. We get some wheel spin, and that is, well, we have the power on the front wheel. And always when the car is accelerating, it's just physics that it's leaning towards the back a little bit, and then the front gets a little bit light, and then the wheels can spin. Therefore, very powerful cars always have the rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive in general. But it's the same with the other cars, so you generally also get some wheel spin here. Also low temperatures and winter tires. That is also, again, accelerating this effect that we got a little bit of the wheel spin. Then to the assistance systems. For example, I also got some kind of run-off-road system. I have a symbol in my displayed, don't go any further there. And then go to the sighting now. And you can also turn them off in the left next to the steering wheel. But as I said, also especially with the feeling some vibrating stuff in the steering wheel as well when I get a little bit more to the right side. But that's usually only working when the lines on the streets are very properly done. However, to me the most important assistance system is the automatic cruise control so far, and that one is definitely better in the other ones. However, you can get those assistance systems here as well, but they do cost extra. And what I also criticize again is that the autonomous braking assistant is also not from serial production. So seriously, please, for the safety, for the benefit of everyone, manufacturers include that one from the standard trim level. We will all profit from that. Well, those ones were the driving impressions here so far, and we also drew a lot of comparisons already between the three cars. I hope you enjoyed that one. And yeah, what else is there to say? Maybe from you. I want your comments now on that one here as for the driving. And now let's come to a conclusion of our big three cars comparison test. First of all of the three cars are really recommendable, so no bad car there at all. So if you ask me, shall I buy one of those cars? Absolutely no problem, they all did a really good job. As for the exterior, I think the Superb is at least my favorite because it's the most spectacular but still very elegant at the same time. What's your favorite in the design from the exterior of those three cars? Put me that one in the comments. Interior, the Passat is my favorite. I think the best refinement, but still the Superb comes quite close. Visually also the Mazda6 is at a very high level already now, but the very build quality I think is still better with the Superb and the Passat. And the Passat, somehow with those very horizontal and the big aluminum strip, I think that was the one that was most pleasing to me. As for the versatility, there the Superb clearly leads it with this hatch that is opening like an estate, and also you have the most space in the car, definitely as for knee space, head space on all of the four seats. So the best travel feeling definitely with the Superb. As for the driving, well, the Passat is the shortest car here, and it is also the most agile car as for the suspension. So if you more prefer the sportier ride, then the Passat is the right mid-size segment car for you. All three are very comfortable, but the most comfortable again was the Superb. So from overall perspective, I think the Superb is the winner for us because if you combine all of the aspects, I think it's the best package. Price-wise, Mazda6 is a little bit lower in the price. So, as a car stand here right now, all three begin in Germany at about 25,000 euros from the list price. Then if you take the bigger petrol engines and higher trims, it's about 41,000, 40,000 for the Superb and about 38 for the Mazda6. So the Mazda6, especially for private customers, a little bit cheaper. But then again, if you take, for example, fleet business customers, there often you have good offerings for the Passat because they have higher sales figures and then offer better leasing rates. So maybe it's not always about the list price, but for private customers, the Mazda6 can still be a little bit cheaper. So as for price performance, the Mazda6 also does quite well. So the Superb was my winner here today from all those three beautiful cars. But what's your winner? Tell me in the comments, and I hope to see you at the next Autogefühl episode.